Quantum leaders, the creator. Consciousness as architect, not bystander. The creator's natural style, fluid, expressive, and visionary, is often seen as responsive to emotion, to inspiration, to the muse. But through the principle that consciousness is architect, the creator's role is revealed not as a passive channel, but as a conscious builder of aesthetic and emotional reality. Their thoughts, beliefs, mood, and mindset don't just influence their creations, they design them. Every brushstroke, metaphor, melody, or movement carries the invisible scaffolding of how the creator was thinking and feeling in the moment of making. They aren't just expressing the world, they are wiring its emotional shape through their presence. With a motivation direction of towards, the creator moves to bring something beautiful, meaningful, or transformational into the world. But if they push forward with unconscious urgency or inner chaos, the system they create will carry that turbulence. When they approach the creative process as a space of clarity, reverence, or care, the result transmits peace, coherence, or healing. Their mindset doesn't just affect their experience of creating, it becomes part of the frequency embedded in what is created. Their attention focus on self supports personal truth and integrity. But how they see themselves, as worthy, chaotic, inspired, inadequate, becomes the architecture of their output. If they believe their work has to prove their value, it often feels overworked or strained. But if they approach creation as a gift rather than a performance, their self-awareness designs a space of relational openness, not pressure. With an internal frame of reference, they trust their own instinct. But the assumptions they build with, people won't get this isn't important, I have to fight to be heard, become internal design constraints. They limit the architecture of the system before the first line is even written. The conscious creator asks, what assumptions am I encoding into this work? When they release inherited beliefs and choose presence instead, the work becomes alive, not defensive. Their options-based operational style allows for exploration and nonlinearity. But every creative choice creates emotional infrastructure. Are they building something that invites others in or pushes them away? Does the process honor cycles of pause or demand constant output? The creator becomes a conscious architect when they design their workflow and output as containers of emotional experience, not just content. Their general viewpoint sees pattern and meaning where others miss it. But meaning alone doesn't organize experience. The creator matures when they ask, what structure does this vision need to land well? That structure isn't artistic compromise. It's the architecture that allows essence to hold form. Their artistry becomes not only insightful, but useful to the human nervous system. With a solo work preference, they may view creation as a private act, but solitude is never neutral. It's a space where thought loops become architecture. Their unexamined mindset is written into every layer of the project. When they become conscious of how they hold themselves during creation, pressure or play, judgment or joy, the very feel of their output changes. Their studio becomes a temple, not just a workstation. Their emotional engagement is associated. They are one with their feeling. But if they stay too merged, they lose shape. If they over-detach, they lose texture. Conscious architecture requires selective merging. This feeling belongs in the work, that one belongs in process. They begin building with emotion, not drowning in it. Their leadership comes not just from expression, but from emotional curation. As mismatchers, they naturally break rules and defy trends. But if they reject all structure unconsciously, they may create work that is alienating or incoherent. When they become conscious of which rules to rewrite and which to retain, they begin constructing aesthetic frameworks that carry the future without erasing the foundations. Their rebellion becomes not chaos, but design intelligence. Their in-time orientation immerses them in flow. But without reflective moments, they may create a body of work that's disconnected or uneven. The creator evolves when they learn to step out and look back, not to judge, but to architect cohesion. Their temporal relationship becomes a design lens. What am I building over time, not just today? And with a primary drive of activity, they are energized by making, expressing, doing. But doing without presence creates hollow output. When the creator moves from intentional energy, not just activity, each piece carries a kind of intelligence. Why am I making this? What energy am I giving it permission to hold? Their productivity becomes architectural when it is informed by presence, not pressure. In this light, the creator is not just the artist. They are the emotional engineer of culture. Their beliefs shape tone. Their state becomes structure. Their process writes code into the nervous systems of those who engage their work. And when they bring full awareness to how they create, not just what, they stop waiting for inspiration and begin building portals of transformation. Their consciousness becomes the blueprint. Their work becomes the world. Quantum leaders, the creator. Polarity creates the blueprint of experience. The creator's natural style, expressive, intuitive, and generative, thrives in the liminal space between the known and the not yet real. They live between worlds, pulling inspiration from the unseen and shaping it into form. But their work is not birthed from consistency alone. It is born from navigating polarity. Through the quantum principle that polarity creates experience, the creator learns that their process must include both intensity and rest, chaos and refinement, solitude and collaboration. Their leadership doesn't emerge by resolving these opposites. It emerges when they hold them in conscious tension. With a motivation direction of towards, the creator is propelled by vision. The polarity here is desire versus discipline. Too much desire without focus becomes scattered dreaming. Too much discipline without freedom leads to creative numbness. The creator evolves when they hold both. Urgency to express, paired with willingness to shape. The dream lives longer when it's given a vessel. Their attention focus on self fosters inner authenticity. But the polarity is introspection versus resonance. Creating for oneself alone risks isolation. Creating only for others dilutes originality. The mature creator builds work that feels true inwardly and vibrates outwardly. They become a bridge between inner knowing and outer belonging. With an internal frame of reference, they trust their instincts. The polarity here is conviction versus curiosity. When conviction is overused, growth stops. When curiosity dominates, nothing solidifies. Creators thrive when they hold "I know what I'm doing" in one hand, and "I wonder what else this could become" in the other. That is where innovation is born. Their options-based operational style invites exploration. The polarity is improvisation versus iteration. Starting something new is exciting. Staying with it through refinement is grounding. The creator becomes powerful when they oscillate between trying new things and deepening what works. In that rhythm, chaos becomes coherence. Their general viewpoint attunes them to metaphor, theme, and emotional depth. But the polarity is abstraction versus form. Too much abstraction and the message floats away. Too much form and the mystery vanishes. The creator's task is to let the ineffable become tangible without making it ordinary. When they do this well, they don't just create, they translate the invisible. With a solo work preference, they seek immersion in their own process. The polarity is isolation versus fertilization. Time alone produces depth. Time with others brings perspective. The creator matures when they hold a rhythm of solitude that is punctuated by select relational reflection. That oscillation polishes the signal without distorting the voice. Their emotional engagement is associated. They feel into their work. The polarity is embodiment versus overwhelm. Full immersion brings authenticity, but too much emotional charge can paralyze or fragment the process. When the creator steps into witness mode, not to suppress feeling, but to contain it, the emotional truth of the work becomes digestible, not volatile. As mismatchers, they challenge convention. The polarity here is disruption versus integration. The urge to innovate is powerful, but if it discards all structure, the message loses grip. If they over-integrate, they betray their edge. The creator leads best when they craft experiences that are strange enough to be fresh and familiar enough to be felt. Their in-time orientation helps them drop into flow. The polarity is spontaneity versus architecture. Flow makes magic. But without scaffolding, the spell breaks. The creator refines when they structure time as a container for spontaneity, ritualizing the space where improvisation happens. Flow becomes reliable, not rare. And with the primary drive of activity, they feel most alive in movement. The polarity is output versus absorption. Making, producing, building. The strong force of activity. But without absorption of art, silence, wonder, the well runs dry. The creator evolves when they design their life to include both creating and being created by life itself. In this field of intentional tension, the creator stops trying to choose between poles and starts composing with them. They become masters of contrast, shaping experience through the deliberate dance of stillness and surge, rupture and restoration, clarity and ambiguity. Their work becomes more than expressive. It becomes experiential architecture. Not clean, not perfect, but vibrant with truth and tension. And that is what makes it unforgettable. Quantum leaders, the quantum entanglement, the thread between all things. The creator's natural style, imaginative, intuitive, and emotionally resonant, often feels deeply personal. Their ideas seem to come from within, forged in solitude, shaped by feeling. Yet through the quantum principle of entanglement, a greater truth emerges. Nothing the creator makes is ever truly isolated. Every image, phrase, sound, or structure they build is entangled with the emotional field, social patterns, and unspoken needs of the collective. Their work is not simply theirs, it's a relational echo of the larger system. Even when they work alone, they are in silent conversation with everyone their creation will eventually touch. With a motivation direction of towards, the creator seeks to give form to what matters: beauty, truth, emotion, transformation. But if they act as though their vision is entirely separate from the world around them, they miss the resonance that gives their work its power. When they remember that they are entangled with the world they're making for, they begin to ask, what is needed now? What wants to be voiced through me? In that awareness, their creativity becomes a response to the invisible request of the field. Their attention focus on self roots them in internal vision. But what they focus on, emotionally, narratively, symbolically, begins to shape the atmosphere of their relationships and their audience. A creator who dwells in despair will weave despair into the system. A creator who holds complexity with hope transmits coherence. Their internal world is not private, it's a tuning fork for others. How they hold themselves becomes how the audience feels while engaging with their work. With an internal frame of reference, they rely on their own standards and voice. But their consciousness still entangles with the field. If they believe, even unconsciously, that no one will understand, the work becomes hard to access. If they assume people are open and intelligent enough to meet them, the work begins to invite and include. Their beliefs about the audience create emotional infrastructure for the entire experience. Their options-based operational style allows for experimentation. But each path they follow subtly codes relational assumptions. Are they experimenting out of joy and wonder, or because they fear completion? Are they shifting styles to explore or to avoid being seen? The creator's process ripples into the system. Their creative decisions become emotional signals that either invite participation or deflect intimacy. When they become aware of why they make the choices they do, their work begins to land with precision and presence. Their general viewpoint helps them sense symbolism and layered meaning. But even symbols are entangled with the cultural, emotional, and psychological fields they arise from. A color, a gesture, a phrase, none of these are neutral. The creator becomes more powerful when they consider not only what they feel it means, but what it echoes in the collective. This is not censorship. It is field sensitivity. Their art becomes a mirror and an offering. With a solo work preference, the creator often builds in silence. But even silence carries presence. What they do alone still vibrates through the systems they belong to. Their absence or presence can shape a room they haven't entered yet. When they understand that solitude is not separation, but subtle participation, they begin to prepare their energy before they create. Their studio becomes a resonant chamber. Their process becomes relational attunement through imagination. Their emotional engagement is associated. They pour themselves into the work. But emotional entanglement is not one way. If they feel despair while creating, the work may carry density. If they create from courage while touching grief, the work may offer healing. Their emotions don't just fill the space, they infuse the audience. The creator grows when they learn to regulate, not suppress, what they transmit. Their emotional signal becomes a healing thread. As mismatchers, they often disrupt norms, but disruption itself is entangled with the system it challenges. If their work only breaks without offering form, it frays the field. But if their rebellion carries care, or their subversion includes meaning, it reorganizes. The creator becomes a system weaver, not by avoiding entanglement, but by choosing how they participate in it. Their in-time orientation lets them feel the pulse of process. But the collective also has a pulse of readiness, need, attention, exhaustion. The creator becomes quantum when they ask, is this the right time to speak this truth? Is the system ready for what I'm transmitting? They are not ruled by the moment, but they listen to it. When they align timing with resonance, their impact multiplies. And with a primary drive of activity, they feel alive when they're making. But every action ripples. Every post, line, launch, or release carries a signal. The creator becomes an energetic architect when they slow down just enough to ask, what am I feeding into the system with this? What does this gesture invite others to feel, think, or become? Their work becomes more than content, it becomes conductive energy. In this quantum frame, the creator is no longer just the source of work. They are woven into the field they serve. Their leadership emerges not from detachment, but from intentional participation. They learn to create not just from inspiration, but for connection. And in doing so, they no longer carry the pressure to say it all alone. They realize the field is asking, and they are answering. Their creations become tuning forks for the world's evolution, one symbol, one line, one frequency at a time.